Hey guys, Chris here, CaribbeanPod.com. Today's video is for Food FAQ. I believe this is episode 5. Today I'm going to show you guys how to prepare the fruits for making a Caribbean style fruit / rum cake, black cake, whatever you want to call it. Guys, this is so easy, but the thing is we need some time. We need to prepare this in advance to allow everything to marinate and soak in the rum and the sherry and everything else. And this is basically what we're going to be making. This I've already gone through. I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. I've spiced it up with some cruising spiced rum as well as some Canadian sherry. Traditionally, as I'm going to mention later on in the video, cherry brandy from the Caribbean, something that's unique to the Caribbean, is used. But this is it, guys. All I'm going to do now is pour it into my glass jar here and allow that to marinate for about a month. But before we get to that, let's get to the actual putting together of this soaked fruit for that traditional Caribbean black cake. The ingredients for making the soaking the fruit for making the sort of Caribbean fruit / black / rum cake is as follows. In this bowl here I've got 1 pound of mixed peel, 1 pound of pitted prunes, half a pound of Marciano cherries. This is optional, but again I like the sort of texture and flavor we get from it. Half a pound of raisins that I've got here, 1/4 pound of lemon peel. Traditionally, cherry wine or cherry brandy that's unique to the Caribbean is used, but I'm using some sherry, and I'm going to use about 4 cups of sherry in this. Rum, I like using a dark spiced rum, so in this case I'm using the Cruisin' 9. It's a wonderful spiced rum. If ever you guys are interested about learning more about rum and a unique perspective of the Caribbean, off the beaten path, check out our friends over at uncommoncaribbean.com. I'm also going to be using a glass jar that I have here to allow everything to soak once we've gone through and processed everything. Next up, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give the prunes a rough chop, as well as the raisins and the cherry, and then I'm going to put it into my food processor. All these ingredients here with a little bit of the rum, just to give it a bit of moisture to help it process, to break it all down in a sort of a chunky sort of paste. Now if you want, you can certainly put the fruits as I just outlined there in the container, in the jar, in the glass jar, mix in the rum, mix in the sherry, or if you're lucky enough to have the sort of Caribbean cherry wine or brandy, you can do that. And then all you need to do then is allow that to soak for at least a month. Allow that to soak, and then when in a month's time, when you're ready to bake the cake, that's when you're gonna food process. You're gonna put it into a food processor or a blender and break everything down into that paste that we're looking for. But like I said, in my case, I'm gonna do that now. So the next step you're gonna see is me using the food processor to put everything together. Just wanted to show you guys something. As I mentioned, I was going to give everything a rough chop before I put it into the food processor for processing. And the other reason, other than it's going to be easier in the food processor if everything is in smaller pieces, as you may know, I've cut up the prunes into each prune in maybe 2, 3, 4 pieces. And what that does, even though when I purchased these prunes, it said pitted on the package, there are times, and if you read the fine print in the package of the prunes, or if you're buying it in bulk, just above the bulk container, you're going to see it says there's a chance that there may be still pits or seeds left in the prunes. By chopping this up, what I'm going to do, I'm also checking to see if there's any of those pits left back in the prunes as well. So all I'm doing in the food processor is pulsing it. Because it's going to be heavy, chances are it could burn out the motor in your food processor if you don't have a powerful one. So all I'm doing is basically pulsing it, and I'm just going to continue doing that until we have a smooth sort of paste. Remember, from all the liquid that we're going to be adding, the rum as well as the sherry, you can always add a bit of liquid in here to make it a bit easier. Now I've got it all done processing. It's sort of a chunky, smooth, well, not really smooth, but chunky sort of texture. Now remember guys, if you guys like your cake and you like to taste, get little pieces of the fruit, all the fruit, like the prunes and the mixed peel and everything else, you can certainly control the consistency of it. I like it a bit more smooth, so this is why I ended up using quite a bit of the sherry while processing it. It did help the machine quite a bit while processing it. So all I'm going to do now is empty everything into a bowl here. I'm just going to clean that out in a second. I'm just going to show you guys what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to pour in the 2 cups of rum. I've already added about 3 cups of the sherry in here when I was processing it. So I'm just going to add those 2 things. Remember, we said we're going to be using 3 cups of rum in total, as well as 4 cups of sherry. You can cut back on that as well. It all depends on how much, how strong you guys like it. Hey guys, this is it here. This is the actual end product after we've gone ahead and put everything together. It's going to be a bit runny. Like in my case, I have it a little bit runny. Instead of the 3 cups of rum, I used 2 cups of rum. I just wanted to make that edit for you guys. But I did use the 4 cups of sherry. You guys can use, as I keep mentioning, the cherry brandy or cherry wine that we have in the Caribbean. All I'm going to do now is pour it all into my glass container here, seal it up, leave it in a cool area on my counter for at least a month before I'm going to use this. Right now it's mid-November, so by mid-December my fruit should have started to get that sort of rich rum spiced flavor that we all crave. Guys, you can do this a year in advance. A lot of people, what they do is they usually soak the fruits in the glass container whole, and what they do is when they're ready to use it, they fish the fruits out, the dried fruits, blend it all up and use it, and the remaining rum they top it up. So after they make their Christmas cakes, they top it back up with fruits and go ahead and leave that to soak for another year. Guys, I did things a little bit different. This is just my way of doing it. I blended it first. This way, when I'm ready to make my cakes, my stuff is already done. It's just a matter of making the batter and sticking it in the oven. Guys, Chris here at CaribbeanPot.com, Food FAQ. Leave me your comments below. Remember, above you're going to see the subscribe link. Subscribe on there. And remember, for all the great traditional Caribbean recipes, check out CaribbeanPot.com. Cheers, guys.